Hey guys, Sean Bougie here. Sorry I am late. If somebody could, and again, I'm sorry guys, technical issues. If somebody could let me know you can hear and see me okay, that would be great. I know that we've got chat enabled. If you could use that to let me know. Oh, good. Awesome, Mark. Thank you for letting me know. Hey guys, I'm going to shut this down for just a second. Thank you, Chris. Mike? No, Mike, that was cool. That's fine. Everybody makes that mistake, and you guys started following, and you followed up the right way after that. But thank you, Megan, for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that, for making that apology. Guys, do me a favor also, lose the beard. Okay, I'm going to turn off chat for a sec. So let's turn that off. There's a couple things I promised in pre-webinar. Now, I'm trying to stay with surplus funds this evening if I can. I'll answer any questions on any program, but I'm trying to have this evening be mostly about surplus funds. So any questions, of course, are welcome on that. A couple things I want to cover. One is we've had a couple of people approach us and say, hey, what do we do if we only have parcel ID numbers on the list, the surplus funds list? It's not hard, guys. I have never run into a county when you go to the tax appraiser or tax assessor's office. I've never run into an issue where you can't go in and literally search either tax bills or tax information by that parcel ID number. And that will bring up the name and the physical or situs address of the property. Of course, unless it's a lot. And we don't see a whole lot of surplus funds created from vacant lots. But that is how you can find the address, oftentimes the current and past owner. So as far as reverse engineering a parcel ID number list, use the appraiser's office, tax assessor's office to do that, and you shouldn't have any issue at all. Okay, that was the main one I wanted to cover. Also, we've had a lot of people recently get in touch with me with some questions. What I'd really like to get a feel for, because this is going to determine how we treat this webinar, if you will, is how many of you guys, let me enable chat, have never purchased a program. If you could just put an N in the chat, I'd really appreciate that, just to give me an idea. I'm just trying to get an idea of where we are. Guys, I made it so you need to use the chat, please. But how many of you guys, if you can just put an N, no, I've never purchased from you before. I'd love to know that. That'll help me decide on how to work with a webinar. Thank you, Michael, Valerie, Chad, Sharon. It's a good turnout. Okay, Michael hasn't purchased anything. I'm going to let that go for just a minute. If you guys haven't purchased, let us know, just to get an idea. Never, no. Okay, good. Great. In that case, I'm going to cover something here really quickly. Wow, a lot of people are new here. That's great. So I'm going to cover something fairly quickly. As far as the overages programs or surplus funds program, National Surplus and Premier 16, you can find these at our website, surplusfundsriches.net. Okay. Oh, you're saying you can barely hear me? Let's see if I'm on this. That might be better. I'll also get a little closer if I can to both microphones and see if that helps. All right, guys. So we have two overage programs to consider. Both of them, well, the National Surplus Funds Program teaches you how to work overages on your own. It also gives you the option of being a partner, where you go get a list. We tell you how to do that. We'd rather teach you how to fish than give lists or anything like that. And then we'd be giving the list to the same, bunch of different people. So the National Surplus Funds Program, you get a list and then you research, thank you, Angela, you research the debt against that property, because if there was debt against the property at the time of the tax or mortgage foreclosure, additional debt, that property has a priority claim to the overage, and we need to know it's there. Now, listen, if there's a $50,000 overage and there's a $20,000 debt equity line against the person or property, I should say, well, then we still have $30,000 we can go after for the claimant. But you need to research that and find it out. Otherwise, we're going to waste our time going after stuff to retrieve the funds. Okay. Very important that you understand that. Okay. Hey, Dan, Don, rather. So the national surplus, all you do is research debt, fill out a worksheet with that. It'll tell you to do it on your own, but if you want a partner, you just fill that information to our worksheet, send it in, we do the rest. We find them, skip trace them, find them, mail them, call them, put the deal together, hire the mobile notary, hire an attorney. We always use attorneys. So we think you're silly if you're not doing that in this business, and pay you 8% of the gross amount being held by the court when we successfully get it out. The other one is the Premier 16, pays twice as much, 16% of the gross amount being held by the court. However, that one requires that you also get in touch with, hold on a second. Okay. Get in touch with the individual. So you skip trace them, find them, make sure you have the right person, and make sure that they're willing to speak with us about the retrieval. We handle the negotiation part. We still hire the mobile notary, the attorney, all that, but it's a little more work for a lot more pay. So either one of those is available. A lot of people can't decide which way they want to go with that. So what they do instead is they get the Pro Pack, which has them both. Either one is $497 a piece. You can get them bundled together for $597. Just so you guys know, we've been doing this longer than anybody else out there, as far as anybody that's currently training anybody. And it's tens of thousands of files that we've worked. So that's important for you to understand that. Let me take a look at chat. Make sure it's enabled. Here we go. Now, guys, this is the portion where I open this up to any and all questions that you guys have. Anything is fair game, whether you already have a program or you don't. One of the things I'll tell you is, for those of you guys that bought programs, make sure that you read it. We didn't put any fluff in the ebook. The biggest issue we find with people is they don't understand that the initial content ebook is soup to nuts. It has everything you need in it. It is a step-by-step, and if you follow it, it's great. We also have a link from that PDF, initial content, to a resources page with training videos. Also, support is accessed online. It's an online ticket-based system. You get invited, of course, to these live question and answer webinars. And some other people have asked us about the process, so I'm going to talk about that too real quick. Make sure chat is on. Okay. So at first, you can turn in one file at a time until we've approved 3. The reason we do that is we don't want you guys to turn in 20 files right out of the chute. There's a little problem with it. We tell you there's an issue. You need to fix all these issues. You get discouraged and go away. That's not what we want to happen. We want you to learn the process with us. We know you're going to make mistakes, and that is okay. So we want you to turn in one at a time until we've accepted 3. Once we've accepted 3, you can turn in as many as you would like. We do have where you can, well, first of all, I'm going to contact you if anything goes under contract. If and when it goes under contract, I'll call you, double check your address. Payments are made to you guys using either a check, or we can use a wire if you prefer that. But the first one, I like to send a check out. That way I've got an address. I can verify that. We had a weird story about that with a researcher a long time ago. How do we know a list that you get from the internet has not been worked? Donald, awesome. So when you get that initial content, it has a link to the resources page that has further training videos on it. It also has on there, good Lord, besides any updated information we put on there, the independent contractor agreement is also there that protects us both. You can sign that right online with your information. We can pay a person or a company. You also have access to our active files list, anything that we're currently working. So the first thing you do when you get a list is you take the names off that list and search our list by those names to see if we already have it. That's updated very frequently throughout the week. And that way we avoid any misunderstanding and make sure that you guys aren't having to research something that we already have. I hope that answered your question. We don't have a saturation issue, Donald. I've never had a saturation issue, honestly, but it's nice that we're that transparent and upfront. One of two things is going to happen when you turn a file into us. Either you're going to get an email that says, "Hey, thank you so much. However, I need you to fix this. You forgot to fill out the conclusion page or whatever. Fix that and resubmit it," or it'll simply show up on the list within a couple of days. It's that easy. Now, just so you guys know, the delay, there may be a 1 or 2 day delay on it showing up on the list. The reason for that is typically there's a 1 day delay if you turned it in between Friday and Monday, simply because that's the vast majority of our turn-ins, and we tend to get about 1 day behind for 1 day. Fair enough. However, that doesn't mean that it's not being worked immediately. Mail's going out, calls are being made immediately upon receipt of that. We double check, of course, ourselves that we haven't already received it. And we will get back with you with any feedback if there's anything we need from you on that. However, again, you either get an email saying, "Hey, fix this," or it shows right up on the list. We're streamlining everything that we've got. Very transparent, very easy to use that. Austin, why do you need a lawyer? So, Hassan, there's a couple of reasons. There's a couple of things that are different with what we do versus other people. One is I don't get a power of attorney to myself or use an assignment. I always hire an attorney. In some states, they have forms that can be filled out. I still use an attorney for that. 3 different reasons for that. One, we're getting it out in the claimant's name. It's going straight to the attorney, care of the attorney. The attorney is going to cash the check in their trust account, break it out, and we're done. You don't have to worry about what some people are running into out there, where they have power of attorney themselves, and they get a check from the county and says, "Here you go. Here's a check for John Smith. I know that's not you, but you said you're the power of attorney. I'm sure you can cash this." And you can't. And what are you going to do? Going to send it to the owner and hope that they cash it? The other thing is the attorneys give us a lot of credibility, and no one's ever going to try to go around an attorney. They're just not. Once they sign up a power of attorney to our attorney, we've never had anybody try to go around it, ever. The final part to that, besides having a lot more credibility with an attorney, is we're using structured buyouts. And this is what makes us a lot more competitive than anybody else out there. In a structured buyout, let's say somebody's owed 50 grand. Within 10 days after they send me that, the agreement, in other words, I'm going to send a mobile notary and they're going to overnight it back to me. Within 10 days after I receive the documents, I'm sending out 10% of the gross amount being held by the court to the owner as good faith money. That's a big deal. I take 10 days because I have the attorney double check title behind you guys. Obviously, that cost me only about $150, and that can save you thousands of dollars. But at the same time, these are people that got foreclosed on, and I'm offering them upfront money. The average deal now is around 40 grand that we're going after. So it's an average of $4,000 in their pocket, and they're broke. So this obviously helps us quite a bit being competitive, right? Giving them money up front very quickly within 10 days. So that's another reason why we use the attorney. I hope that's answered your question, Aston. Laquina, I thought I understood that in order to find all debt against the property, it would show in land records, but I was having a problem finding any on there. Is that the correct way, or did I miss something? Laquina, if you've got our book, it tells you to use the land records department or the register of deeds. Usually if you do a Google search for register deeds, followed by the county name and the state name, you'll be able to get right into that, and there shouldn't be an issue. But look at your book again for that. You can go to the land records department, okay, or 90% of the time, register of deeds, followed by the county name, followed by the state name, and that'll get you right to the site, and it's very easy to check that out. Let's see where we're at here. Kyla, how long does the entire process take from start to finish? I know it depends on the county. However, does it take months before the contract is signed? Generally, Kyla, generally. It depends, okay? It depends if the person, how quickly we can find them. In the past, what I've said when we were actually monitoring this a lot more closely, frankly, is about a month to get a hold of the people. That means we're calling them and mailing them, and they finally broke down and called us back. Or we called a relative who finally had them call us. So in a month, we usually hear from get in touch with them. At that point, we come into agreement, send out a mobile notary. That gets back. Within a month after that, okay, we're at a 1 month mark. Boom, the attorney is on the docket and in front of somebody, be it a magistrate or whatever. Or if it's in a state where it's filling out documents, he's filled out the documents and presented them to the court. We get a lot more credibility having an attorney on this, believe me. At that point, when it's granted, it could take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Now, there are some differences. For instance, in North Carolina, the majority of the money we go after right now, has already been escheated to the state. So there's a delay built in. We still motion at the county level. We get that granted, but we have to wait forever for the state to send the check back. But that's North Carolina only. Great question, Kyla. Chris, hey Sean, have you done a webinar for the time flipping class for those to purchase the program? It's my understanding you were going to have one, or did I get that wrong? I'm just checking. Nope, Chris, you haven't gotten it wrong. We're going to be letting people know about that. By the way, everybody was considered the first 35 because we had that weird glitch on the sale date for just like 5-10 minutes. But anyway, there will not be an issue with that. Everyone will get the boot camp webinar instead of just the first 35. Karen says, wow. Michael, I'm having problems getting a list doing deed flip, which you told me was the easiest. Is overage better at getting a list? Michael, honest to goodness, man. Upcoming tax deed sales. Enter on Google. Man, trust me, you're going to find tens of thousands of properties coming up for upcoming tax deed sales. And don't try to find it for your local area. A lot of people do this, right? I got to work at local. You're online, guys. Work it anywhere, okay? Wherever you get a list. I've never, honestly, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying I've never had anybody say they had a problem finding a deed flip list. Upcoming tax deed sales. Here you go from Jeff. Time flipping webinar will be in May. Sign up link will be posted on time flipping resources page. There you go. So guys, those of you guys that got the time flipping program, be keeping an eye on your resources page. It's a link from your ebook. Okay. Crystal, hi. I hope there's a replay. I'm unable to hear this. I'm having people say they can hear me fine. So let me check with Jeff, see what he has to say. He's the monitor. He's my right-hand man here. But I think he would have gotten up with me by now. Tell me there was an issue. I'd say turn it up. I've got the gain all the way up on the Yeti microphone, so there should not be an issue. I will try to continue to talk loud. Okay, Jeff can hear me fine. I'm sorry, then that's at your end, Crystal. Okay, guys, bring the questions on. Finding a list for surplus funds is also fairly easy. You can search by surplus funds list, overbids list, overages list, mortgage overages list, tax overages list, excess proceeds list, excess funds list. I can hear you loud and clear. Good. They're probably hearing you. Can you elaborate on the process of flipping deeds, Kyla? Okay, one thing I'm going to say real quick, Kyla, I'm going to answer your question. But if you go to the website, surplusfundsriches.net, click on products, it'll ask you to put your name, email, and phone in. That's because we were getting spam before. And yes, we want to capture your information so we can send you information, right, on what we have available. Hope to bring you on board as a member. You know, there's no secret here. You can always unsubscribe whenever you want. Both from the text and or emails, so there's not an issue there. But at the bottom, once you do that, it drops you on the products page. And at the bottom is an insider's guide, and that goes into quite a bit of detail of that. Flipping deeds, basically what we're doing, Kyla, is we're buying property that's going into, I prefer to go after tax deed sale property. It's about to be sold at tax deed sale. You go in, we make it, well, you guys just research the debt against the property if you want to be a partner with us. Send us that information. We find them, contact them, make an offer to buy it as is, where is. We tend to go after the really crappy stuff, right? The stuff that somebody that's trying to buy it as an end buyer wouldn't buy. Something that an investor wants to buy. So we buy it super cheap. Immediately, pay off the taxes to stop the sale, pay off the owner after we've recorded the deed and paid off the taxes, right? I'm not going to pay off taxes of property I don't own, of course. So once we do that, okay, guys, I can see you guys can hear me. Thank you. So once we do that, we record the deed, pay off the taxes to stop the sale. Then we send the money to the owner. We may give them a month to get out if we need to, but once they're out, we flip the property as is, where is, cash, usually to a cash buyer, which is an investor. We leave enough meat on the bone where they can fix it up how they need to sell it. And again, I prefer the crap, the real junk, because even if they put 50 grand into it and it's going to be worth 120, I mean, usually I double my money, and I usually have anywhere from 25 to 35 grand in the property, all told, taxes, payment to the owner, everything. And I double that when I resell it, even including all the costs. So it's fairly easy to do. I can tell you all the money is in the junk. You don't want to go after it. Everybody tries to hit home runs, and that's a mistake. So that's what we do. We teach you how to do that, but we also partner with you. The National Deed Flip Program, we give you 15% of our net. Our average net's 30. I'm assuming that's going to be 40 shortly. For the Deed Flip 30, we give you 30%. But just like on the surplus program, besides researching debt, you also have to research, or rather find the people and have a warm conversation to make sure that they're willing to speak with us. So once you do that, you can turn it in on the Deed Flip 30 and we'll give you 30% of net. Whether an 8% or 16% program, how do we know if the deal went through? John, as soon as I get a deal under contract, I'm going to call you. Okay. I'm going to pay you. But I'm gonna not call you. Sorry, I tend to use email. I'm gonna email you as soon as I put it under contract, and then I'll keep you abreast of that throughout the process. Of course, as soon as we retrieve the money, I send the check to you guys. And again, it can be a form of a check, or I can do a wire down the road. But at first, I prefer to do a check. I overnight it to you. I double check your address and all that before I send it. And that's why we have an independent contractor agreement that you sign right off the resources page that protects us both. Okay. I can hear just fine, loud and clear. Hey, John, by the way, good question, right? Keep in mind, guys, this is retrieved through the court, right? So there's no way for us to hide it if we pulled it out. And there's no reason for us to try to screw somebody over their commission. That'd be silly. I'm not going to risk my business and be unethical, over a commission. I'm just not going to do that. We've been doing this a long time. Our buyout company, which we use for surplus funds and for the deed flipping, is called Greater Good Company. You can find us at Charlotte Better Business Bureau, Charlotte, North Carolina, Better Business Bureau. And we have an A+ rating and 0 complaints and thousands of inquiries. And we've been around a long time, guys. 2000. I think I got up with BBB in 2002. Okay. Just a quick note, if you guys want to have online credibility, but you don't want to spend, it cost me, I think, $475 a year for Better Business Bureau. We do offer the rightful owner project.org membership. If you go there, you sign in there. I think it's $297 for life. And that program, that will give you a lot of online credibility, particularly if you're doing that on your own. You don't need that if you're going to be a researcher, but a lot of people like that to have online credibility if they're on their own. Jason, my internet access died. Is this webinar being recorded so I can watch it later? It is. Anybody that registered will be getting a replay notification probably by, I would say, maybe 9:30 tonight. So look for that in your email. Good question, Jason. I'm assuming you jumped on your phone because something happened with your regular internet. Good questions, guys, so far. Kyla, I hope that I answered your question on the process of flipping, how we flip deeds. Basically, we called it deed flipping because we get the deed. We're not using an assignment contract. We're not using a subject to contract. It is a straight up, we get a deed and record it. We own the property. There's no baloney. We give the property, we give the owner real money. We're paying off the taxes to stop the sale. We may give the owner, if they're in the property, we will give them about a month or so to get out if we need to. Generally, we don't. That helps us quite a bit on our negotiation strength, as you can imagine. Guys, please don't use the questions and answer tab. If you use you're welcome, Jason. Use the chat instead. I'd very much appreciate it. I don't know where this question and answer tab, I'm on Webinar Jam. I don't know when they started doing this, but it's driving me kind of crazy because it means there's 2 things for me to monitor. So please stay in the chat if you would. Another thing I talked about, guys, since I'm not getting the questions coming in really fast. Same happened to me. Okay, Karen. I'm not getting the questions coming in really, really fast here. So another video that we posted recently on our YouTube page was about double foreclosures. I would really recommend you guys watch that. Okay. You can also find what I talked about earlier, where I was talking about backward engineering. If you get a surplus funds list and all you have is partial ID numbers on there, there's a video on our channel you can search our channel, how to backwards engineer, and it'll show you how to backward engineer a surplus funds list where you only have partial ID numbers. There's another one on there about double foreclosures that I think you're going to find really interesting, because it is possible to get, I kid you not, two surpluses on a single deal, and it is possible for debt from a previous owner before a tax or mortgage foreclosure to actually survive, depending on the type of foreclosure, and foreclose on the new owner. So that's important. You take a look at that. Aaron, some people in Harris County don't call back until 3 weeks before the auction date. Can we still help them? And if so, how do you explain the whole process to someone who owes 7K in taxes and 22 to Wells Fargo? How would you package this to the owner about to lose their home? Aaron, there's so many variables in that answer. So let me give a what if, okay? Because it's a good question. I hope Jeff, maybe I can highlight this. I'm broadcasting it. Okay. Some people in Harris County, I'm guessing that's Texas, I'm not sure, don't call back until 3 weeks before the auction date. That's actually fairly common, Aaron. Can you still help them? And if so, how would you explain the whole process? I'd say, look, if Aaron, I'm going to assume that it's a tax foreclosure that you're talking about. You didn't give me a whole lot of information here, but I'm going to assume it's a tax foreclosure, okay, that owes 7 grand. I'd say, look, I'm going to pay off the 7 grand to stop the taxes. I am also going to be due to pay off the $22,000 to Wells Fargo. And let's assume this house is worth $100,000 as is. I'm going to send a mobile notary out to get the deed signed and the contract for sale signed. The deed, it just goes over what we're doing. And I say, look, it's just like a real estate closing. Okay. We've got to record the deed. I have to have ownership of the property before I pay off the debt, before I pay off the tax debt. Once I do that, I will be sending you X amount of dollars. Now, if it was worth 100 and the owner, and there's 22,000 to Wells Fargo, and I knew for sure that was 22 grand, not 25, 22, and there was 7 in taxes, I may give them up to another $21,000. I'll say I'll send that as soon as, one of two ways. If they're not in the property, I'll send it as soon as I record the deed and pay off the taxes and title looks good. If they are in the property, I'll give them a portion of that. Let's say I was going to give them 21 grand. I give them a portion of that. And guys, it's going to be in really crappy shape. They know, and they got no time left, right? So I'll give them a portion of it up front if they're going to be in it for a little bit, maybe 5 grand, and the other 16 when they get out. And here's the kicker: $1,000 less for every day they're late getting out. Otherwise, they won't. They're not afraid of the tax man. They're not afraid of me. I have to give them incentive, cash for keys type thing to get them out of there on time. And it works great. And they understand exactly why I do it. I'm very, very clear about it. The only thing we get occasionally is people ask, can I rent back from you? And I'm like, listen, you got $1,500 a year in taxes that you haven't been paying for 3 years. And the going rental rate for this property is $1,000 a month. You're not a good risk for me. I'm sorry. I can let you stay for a little bit and I can get you some money in your pocket, but that's the best I'm going to be able to do for you. I hope that answered your question, Aaron. All right. Chris, do you have any open investor slots this month? This is Chris Christensen. I emailed you earlier. I got it, Chris. 15% is a great return over 4 months, isn't it? That's what I give to my investors. And somebody else had asked me that earlier today. I think it was in an email. I will get back with you, Chris. I'm thinking, especially with them trying to avoid talking about time flipping, but with that coming around, where you're actually collateralized against the property, which is pretty strong, I am going to have some people looking for investors to help them flip this stuff, and you're perfect for that. Tamika, hello, Sean. Is deed flipping and time flipping the same? Not really, Tamika. With time flipping, we do things a little bit differently. With time flipping, we're giving them in general more time to stay. You're only going after people that are living in the property. We give them more time to stay and pay them less as we go, more time we give them. The other thing that was interesting about time flipping, if you got the program, that a lot of people I think probably blew by if they read it, was I taught you guys, those of you guys that don't want to flip the property, okay? You want to keep the property and you want to rent it. I taught you guys how to get money from the investor, double their money back, right? Over usually a couple of years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever, double their money back. And at the end of that time period, have a deal with the investor to split the rent. Of course, rents are going to continue to go up. Now that sounds like, oh man, I got to wait all this time. You put 5 together a year and you keep doing this for 3 years. And at the end of say 5, 6 years, you're starting to see the stuff hit. And then it starts to get even higher and higher and higher. We're talking about you guys we're talking about retiring. So that's pretty strong. I've never put that angle in any ebook before. So that's a big deal. Oh, there's a webinar handout that Jeff must have just put up there too. Let me get back to chat. Sorry. All right, Michael, can I use my 501c3 tax exempt business to receive my commission? Michael, unless you can show me where that's legal, no. And let me tell you why, Mike. I've had somebody ask me that before. Okay. And she said, what I want you to do is pretend like you made a donation to my, no, I'm not pretending anything for anybody. I'm not risking my business over that. So unless you can show me a reason where I can do that, where it's completely legal and I don't have to lie to do it, I'm not going to do it. All right. Wow. Starting to get some good questions in. Cedric, as a researcher and with the time flipping program, okay, so you're not a researcher on time flipping, Cedric. It's your deal. We're going to walk you across the finish line with that live, with that. And I got to get out of time flipping tonight, guys. But we're going to walk you across that finish line with the live Zoom meeting when you get a deal together. But no, you don't need an LLC, Cedric. You really need to read the ebook. There's only certain reasons why you need an LLC. You do have to, if you're going to use a company to buy and sell property, then it's going to have to be registered in the state where you're doing it. In other words, you can register in one state, but it's also got to be registered if you're flipping property in another state and you're going to take title in the name of that company in that state and give title away in the name of that company. It has to be registered. Usually it's called a foreign corporation in that state. You can also buy and sell under your own name. You don't need an LLC or a subchapter S or anything like that. Good question. Tasha, hi, how do we come up with the amount you give to the owner in time flipping? Is it a percentage or another calculation you're using? So, Tasha, it's your deal. Technically, like I said, what I tend to do is all said and done, I want to double my money. And I don't think you're going to have an issue doing that. I really don't. So does that help because if you read the formula in time flipping, I work it backwards. How much is it going to sell when it's fixed up? How much is it going to take to fix it up? How much profit is the investor going to need on top of that? Okay, that leaves me X amount of dollars. That's what I can send it to an investor, sell it to an investor for. Now let's take out what my costs are to pay off any additional debt. Remember, the earlier example, the gentleman said there was a Wells Fargo debt and there was taxes. And I said, well, if the taxes are foreclosing, I'd give them this much money. Wells Fargo isn't foreclosing. I don't have to pay that off right away. I can pay that off when I resell the property to an investor. Remember that. Okay. But then I look at it and I go, okay, so here's how much money I can give you. The formula is right in that ebook. So that shouldn't be, follow that to a T and decide what you want. Some people are happy to make 20 grand. Some people are like me. They want to double it whenever possible. I'm not saying I'll walk away for something. For instance, let me give you guys an example. Tasha, this is actually a better question than people thought. So let's say there was a ton of additional debt, a first and a second mortgage, all this crazy stuff that the guy was actually keeping up with. And for some reason, his taxes weren't escrowed and he was getting tax foreclosed on, right? So all you got to do is pay off the taxes, take care of it. And let's say that's 7 grand. And there's all this other debt, but the property is actually in pretty good shape. You don't have to pay off that other debt till later. So you can get this thing under contract for 5 and still make 20. What do you care? You're quadrupling your money back, and you're probably doing it in 3 to 6 months in that case. That's ridiculously good. John, thanks, Sean. I definitely appreciate you. Actually, we spoke on the phone a little over a year ago. I was the guy from New Jersey. I know you speak to many people, and that was a while ago. Now, I usually remember that, Jersey guys. However, I'm still in the loop and watch all your videos and appreciate you and your staff. Looking forward to joining the team in the near future. Fantastic, John. Come on board. The water's just fine. Hey, let me tell you guys something. I know I've been pushing. I know I've really been pushing flipping and all that, right? Because the money's so high. But I got to tell you something. Jeff and I were looking at the numbers the other day. Surplus funds is ridiculous right now. The average surplus funds we're going after is surplus fund amount we're going after is over 40 grand. That's going to continue to go up. And let me give you guys a secret about surplus funds that nobody's really talking about right now. Okay. Yes, there's plenty of mortgage foreclosures still going on. Let me tell you what else is going on. We're going to be reevaluated in Texas in the next 2 to 5 years. Most counties and states, most counties within states, I should say. What do you think is going to happen when we've seen 16% appreciation a year for the last 2 years, and we still have counties that are in budget deficits? Look it up. County budget deficits. See how many counties are in a budget deficit still from the pandemic because they had shut down for so much. How many counties are short on their budget because their guys weren't open and they weren't conducting tax deed sales or even tax lien. We don't go after tax liens, but they weren't conducting. They didn't have a way to bring money in. What do you think is going to happen when the value of that property went up $200,000? And let's say you're in an area like me where it's $1.25 per thousand. That's $2,500 more a year. I'm going to have to come out of pocket when the reevaluation comes. Now I'm ready for that because I saw it coming, right? Values are coming up. How many people do you guys think out there are going to be like this on their, and I'm not happy about it, but they're going to be on their fingernails, just hanging on because food prices have gone up. Gas is still not cheap, right? It's still just shy of $4, at least where I am. We're talking about crazy inflation. Wages, although they've been increasing dramatically, are not keeping up with them. Meanwhile, you're going to be throwing, oh, by the way, Mr. Homeowner, you got to come up with another $200 a month. And that's happening everywhere. Now, in reality, and Jeff and I talked about this too, that's not going to go up as fast. Usually what they do is they won't go up to full value when they reevaluate because they know that would just destroy the local economy, right? They'll go up to close to it though, and it will be a large increase. My home is probably going to go up $150,000 in value, and that's a big hit, guys. That's 1,500 plus what? 25% of that, $1,700 a year. That's a lot of money. So that's what's about to hit. Mortgage foreclosures are still hitting. People are getting really, really pinched right now with inflation. Surplus funds is going to keep going up, and the average is really, really high right now. So that's a huge play, guys. And thank you, John, again for saying that. That was kind. To make it fabulous, I was on traveling and I missed the sale, and I emailed you, but will you be offering a sale on time flipping again? Tamika, actually, it's still on kind of a sale. I know it's not. This isn't a happy thing to say to you, but it's not what you want to hear. But it is for $447 right now, which is a reduced amount on the main site. Sorry, I missed it at $297 though. And I know there were some people traveling, and I'm sorry about that. But we got here. Tasha says, gotcha. Okay, Lou, it's on page 18 of the time flipping ebook. There we go. Thank you, Lou. Yeah, it's important you guys really reread that. And listen, I'm not going to try to admonish you guys or give you a hard time, but look, you got to read it. I'd really recommend any program you got from us read twice for comprehension. Also, as you read through it, we're kind of giving you guys definitions of terminology. The reason for that is very important. When you contact support, if you do need to, and you need to ask them a question, it's email-based through Jeff, ticket-based. If you contact support, you're going to be able to say, hey, Jeff, I was looking at a warranty deed that was transferred, da, 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 not, hey, I was looking at this deed thingy, and right? So you've got to read the ebook twice, then watch the videos. But the ebooks are step-by-step. They take you right through it, and we didn't put any fluff in them. For extra questions and that type of thing, that's what support is for. That's what these live webinars are for. We didn't want to give you every possible outcome of every possible deal because we're here for you. Nearly $6 in California for gas right now. Yep. Did you say surplus funds deals are averaging 40K profit? No, Mike. 40K is the average surplus fund amount. Great question. Is the average surplus fund amount that's being held by counties. I've never seen 40K profit on that. Would mean it would be about a $100,000 deal in the way we do it. But no, it's 40 grand is our average surplus funds amount to go after, which means there's a whole lot. Good Lord, I wish Jeff was on here live with me. There's a whole lot in the 80 to 100 range right now, 60, 80, $100,000, never more than we've ever seen before. But there's also a lot in the 20 range. So that's what brings it down an average of 40. But I mean, I have 3 coming in the next 3 weeks that are over $60,000. And that's nice. Our average used to be about 25. Having 3 60s in a row is going to be a big deal. That's nice to have that kind of a hit. On the resources page, is that where we can find the rightful owner page for the BBB membership? Okay, it's not BBB membership. Let me do this real quick. To everybody, what am I going to say? Here we go. It is rightfulownerproject.org. It is a online credibility site, right? It's kind of like a BBB for asset recovery, which is what a lot of people call what we do. Make sure that this is visible to everybody. You can go there, rightfulownerproject.org. And I think it's $297 for lifetime membership instead of $475 a year, $497 a year, whatever BBB is. I pay $475 a year. That's based on the number of people that you have on payroll and some other things. And the only reason it's that low, frankly, is because I do have some 1099 employees as well as full-time employees. So it's different. I hope that answers your question, Jackie. Oh, Jeff just put it up. He must have been on the same page as me, or you guys can't see my post with rightfulownerproject.org on it. Guys, I know I was a little bit late. Excuse me, I was a little bit late tonight. I usually try to wrap this up by 8:30. Sorry. So if we can get some questions, and I might go over that, right? Since I was the one that was late getting in here with the issues we had. Rightfulownerproject.org. That's where we need to be, guys. That's where you can get that membership. One of the things I want to also talk about, though, we talked about the different programs, and people ask me all the time, what do you get, Sean? Good Lord, you've got all these different programs, and you have all these different issues with, or not issues, but types of bundles, and it's almost too complicated. Let me answer you. The standalone flagship programs are about $497 a piece. If one of my kids, and I'm not comparing you guys to my kids, but all my kids, I've got two that graduated from college, one that's got another, one has another year left. If one of them came to me and said, Dad, I want to get, I'll work for you. Thank you so much for the college education. I want to work for you. Well, after wanting to kill them for the whatever $80,000-$100,000 I sunk into their education that they're not using now, I would start with either, if they could afford it, I would, and believe me, I think it's important people have skin in the game. So I would have my kids pay for it. And I'd say the best bundles, a great way to start. It's a good mix. It's in 700 and some change, I believe. It's a great mix of our top 5 producing books, programs. That's called the best of the best program. The other one is the gold bundle. Now that's more expensive. It's $997. You guys can start at $497 for just one, but the $997, the gold bundle, has that information. Florida, North Carolina deed flip, specialty North Carolina deal. North Carolina has a loophole nobody else has, and it's their highest converting state for deed flips. Also has national deed flip. This is best of the best. National deed flip, national surplus, Florida deed flip, Florida surplus, and North Carolina flipmaster. Now, the gold also includes the step up programs, the Premier 16 for surplus and the deed flip 30. So a lot of people prefer that. Okay, people obviously are having issues with the rightfulownerproject.org link. So let's leave that alone. I think we may pop that back on this evening. We'll take a look at that, guys, see if there's an issue. Sean, is there an average figure for those that work the 8% researcher program? Yeah, John, I mean, if you're working an 8% researcher program, and the average surplus is 40 grand, the average payout's going to be 3,200. I mean, it's 8% of the gross. And the other one, the Premier 16, is 16% of gross. Let me take a look at something, make sure you guys are looking at the right thing. Oh, you're right. Huh. All right, we'll check that rightful owner. Sorry, guys. We must be doing something different. I know we were talking about going up in price, but since I quoted it, I'll keep that price for there if you get hit it later. What skip tracing company do you use, Jennifer? Okay, these are all this stuff. By the way, all this stuff's going to be in the ebook. We trade you on everything. There's a couple I like. Great question, Jennifer. I like IDI Data. I think they're very good at getting us non-regulated information. We don't need regulated information, right? We don't need socials and all that. Non-regulated information on the claimant themselves. They do an excellent job of that. A lot of times we even get real email addresses, cell phones, all that addresses. Everything's right. The other one I like is Microbilt, microbilt.com. Talk to a guy. You can see this in the replay as well. And this is in the ebook. It's called Randy Mostetler. He will waive the startup fee, which is about $200. And there's different programs they can set you up on. If you mention my name, Sean Bucci or Greater Good Company, he will waive the startup fee. And that's a great one because they're really good at finding possible relatives and associates. We tend to mail everybody, not just the possible claimant, but relatives and associates as well. So we we get hold of them, right? But the third one that I recommend, believe it or not, is White Pages Premium, their premium version. And they are crazy good at the reverse lookup. If you put in an address, such as the foreclosure address, especially if it was recent, they are, I would have never said this 5 years ago, they've gotten really good at reverse lookups on people. So IDI data, microbuilt.com, and White Pages Premium. I think they're all really, really good. Michael, I'm a 73-year-old retired train engineer and real estate salesman for New York. Do you need someone else to work for you? No, Mike, we do the independent contractor route. Good question, and thank you. I'm honored that you asked me that, honestly, especially with those credentials. We do, what we're doing independent contractor kind of deals here. I've got my own crew that I like. I don't use virtual assistants, any of that. I have them literally, I walk into the office and they're there in person. Full-time case managers, full-time, somebody that is an attorney liaison, and also handles submissions. Full-time, of course, Jeff's full-time as well as myself. We've got a bunch of people in our office. So I'm good with my crew. If you'd like to join up as a member, you can get it at surplusfundsriches.net, whatever program that you like. Again, click on products, put in your information. Guys, nobody's going to do anything crazy with that stuff, right? Put in your real email and phone number and all that. We could text you if there's something going on, like an upcoming webinar. We can email you the same thing. You can always unsubscribe. The days of people going around that are over. You get shut down if you keep sending email out or text out to people that say stop. You just do. So go ahead and sign up, check that out. And at the bottom of that products page, besides seeing all the different options and the bundles we have, at the bottom of the page, you will also see an insider's guide that covers all the different programs that we have. Okay. So Mike, take a look at that. 73 is not old anymore, right? My parents are 78 and 76. Wow. So, yes, that's not old anymore. I'm 56. So, and by the way, guys, we've been doing this since the early 2000s. We stumbled on it then, actually flipping a properties when we stumbled on a surplus funds. Because anyway, that's how we found out about it. Because we saw that it sold for more than the debt that was due against it. Asked the clerk, and they informed us, and we started doing more and more research. Built this thing from the ground up so that it'll work in every county and every state. The only 3 states that we don't like to work if somebody's going to partner with us and by the way, you don't have to work your local state. Don't be silly. It's online from home. Work wherever you get a list, right? Because it's all online from home. But Oregon, Washington State, and Colorado, we try to avoid those. They're very difficult. Florida is a separate system for us because the statutes are so very different there. It is available in bundles, starting with the best bundle on up. Obviously, we did that to price people out, so there wouldn't be too many people working one single state. We have people that have turned in stuff from all over the country. I'm putting together some more information on some local information per state. But bottom line is, we are legal in every single state. We just won't take deals from people in Oregon, Colorado, and Washington State because we think, frankly, the attorney generals out there have aspirations for political aspirations or something because they're trying to put people out of business, and we just don't want to deal with it. Other than that, we've worked pretty much all of it. I'm not kidding you. New York is a little difficult, simply because, and again, don't work if you're in New York. Who cares? Work in another state. It's online from home. But we're having difficulty, or our guys have had difficulty getting information that's actually accurate out of the courts, and I think that might be on purpose. Washington, D.C., we try to avoid. It's just dirty. Illinois, we've done a lot of deals in, but Cook County is dirty and it's difficult to get a list. Pennsylvania is fine. However, Philadelphia uses the DART, Defendant Asset Recovery Team, as their department to return it, and they drag their tail just to try to put people out of business. I mean, I've seen them go 2 years. The rest of Pennsylvania is fine. Tamika, can you tell me where I can purchase the time flipping course? Yep, just go to the main page, Tamika, surplusfundsriches.net, right? It's the main place. Click on products, enter your information. It'll drop you on the products page. It's $447 now. Surplusfundsriches.net. Unless Jeff tells me different that I messed that up or not. Let me check something real quick too while we're here. All right, so it looks like we had taken down the rightful owner project sign in our main site. So we will make sure we take care of that shortly. All right, any other questions, guys? I know we're running out of time. Let's see where Jeff is. No issues. Okay. Guys, I hope I've answered everybody's questions. Anybody have any more questions at all? This is your shot. I know there's a slight delay in when I say something and when I can see stuff back. I went there and didn't see it. Let's see. I'm going to actually take right through the steps. Thought we had it on there. I'm sorry, Tamika, if I'm incorrect. Let's take a look here. So, products. You got to put in my info. Limited time offers. Scroll down. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one down, Tamika. It's time flipping. 447. Okay. Great info, sir. Sorry. Yeah, Tamika, it's the fifth one down. It's okay. I could be wrong. Yeah, that's okay, Tamika. That's all right. Hey, people are going to make mistakes even in the training and learning this business, and we're okay with that. That's part of the process. Don't let it get you down. The only thing, yeah, we're going to fix ROP here. Jeff told me that's an issue too. I checked that too. The only thing I'll tell you is just take your time, guys. Once you get the program, just take your time. What is the Premier Surplus Partnership 16? Mona, it's one of the partnership options we have with Surplus. Instead of just researching the debt and the ownership and turning it into us and we do the rest, that's the National Surplus at 8%. Premier 16 we pay 16%. But you also have to find the people, make sure you got the right guy, and then willing to talk to us. Jeff, what equipment do I need to do surplus research? James, this is Sean. Jeff's the moderator. Surplus research, you're going to have either a tablet or a PC. You're not going to be able to do this off your phone, okay? Wi-Fi connection. You really don't need a printer. A lot of people that are older like me like printing stuff and then scanning it back in when they submit files, doing it that way, the old-fashioned way. But you don't need to do that because we also give you the worksheet in Word format where you can literally just fill that in and do it on your laptop or whatever. But you're not going to be able to do it off of a phone. You can generally get most lists online for free, so there's really not a cost there. Some people buy the list, but then other people are buying it. I just see an issue with that. You can also request lists from counties. Usually they send it to you for free. Sometimes they'll ask you to send them $10 for the list or whatever. Other than that, James, that's it. I was LOL. Thanks. Okay, to me. John, how is New Jersey to work in regards to your programs? So, John, what I'm hearing, first of all, the list in New Jersey is called the SODA list, SODA. I believe that's surplus on docket or something like that. I don't know for sure what that acronym's for. I don't know what it stands for. I just don't. But that SODA list, I think you can get it in Trenton at this. Oh, good Lord. It's a central court department there in Trenton. The issue that I've heard people have had isn't with getting the list, but occasionally, depending on the county, you have an issue getting into the Register of Deeds department to check that. But John, like I've said 100 times today, I'm being facetious, but like I've said a lot this evening, don't get caught up in just working a certain area. That's silly. Work wherever you get a list easy and just work it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where it's at. Difference between somebody in Jersey working Jersey online and working California or somewhere else online, the difference is going to be a millionth of a second because it's the speed of light, right? So don't get caught up in just working local. How soon could you expect to start making income? Caro, soonest I've seen is about 3 months because even when you turn something into us, it's going to take us a month to get a hold of them, and then actually put the deal together and get the mobile notary to send it back. A month from then for our attorney to get on the docket. A month from that point for the court to cut a check. Some courts are a little faster than that. That's the average. Other courts are a little longer. But yeah, that's a good way to look at that. On the Premier 16, obviously, it's a different time period, right? Because you're finding him and calling him and getting a return call and making sure you have the right person and willing to speak with us with the Premier 16. So you can take from when you turn it in at that point where they go, yeah, we're willing to talk to him. Well, now we're immediately negotiating with them, getting the deal under contract, getting it to an attorney. So now it's like 2 months from that period, from that turn in point, right? Because you're going to eat that first month. But yeah, 3 months from when we first start contacting people. Jim Cooper. Hi, Sean. It's been a few years since I've submitted cases. Would you like to submit one? And by the way, Jim, hey, we get this a lot. Life comes up, guys. I get it. And look, there is no shame in doing something like this as a side hustle, right? Or do it when you can. Life comes up. Everybody's all convinced you got to go out and be a millionaire tomorrow. Stop it. Stop it. What would 30 grand a year extra, if you work in 5 hours, I'm just throwing some numbers out, working 5 hours extra a week, what would that mean to you? That's life changing for most families. So don't get caught up and you got to be this entrepreneur and be out there doing all this stuff and it's absorbing all these costs, right? That's why so many people come to us. 30% of our buyers start with somebody else and come to us because they realize, hey, you know what? I'd rather partner. I'd rather have a life and work-life balance, and I'd like to partner with Sean. Answer your question, Jim. Boy, did I go off on a tangent there. To answer your question, Jim, why don't we send them in one at a time till we approve them, just to make sure you're back in the swing of things. It's just to help you, right? I just don't want you to turn in 5 and we say, oh, these are wrong. You know what I mean? So let's try that if you don't mind, and let's go step by step. Man, guys, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed this webinar. By the way, if you do go to the products page, there's always, or usually, there's a countdown clock on there. Whenever that countdown, it's always due on midnight. That gives us the right to raise prices whenever we want. We've done that forever since we started. That way you don't have to check in with anybody and nobody cries to me, because they looked at it 3 days ago and they don't buy it. So I'm just giving you a heads up that we have the right to, I'm not saying we're going to raise it anytime soon, but I'm not saying we're not. So that's why that's on the website for that. Guys, I hope this has been good for you. I really enjoyed everybody coming. Please come again. And by the way, whenever you sign up for the webinars, next one I think is going to be on the 12th. Whenever you sign up for the webinars, there's an option where you can click, yes, I want to be signed up for future webinars as well. And you get a heads up about that. So that's a great little, way to keep abreast of that. Also, like and follow our Facebook page. There's a link from our surplusfundsriches.net page on there. Definitely go to YouTube. It's Mr. Deed Flip, MR Deed, D-E-E-D Flip is the channel, all one word, Mr. Deed Flip. Subscribe to the channel, watch follow the Facebook page, make sure you're involved, and you get a lot of information that way that other people don't. Hey, go to Facebook, check out all the checks that I've recently posted on there that have come in, and that's just a sampling. So anyway, guys, appreciate you being here. Sorry I've dragged on. Hope you have a great night. Take care.